This video is going to be about Joe Exotic, who I am discovering is an absolute animal warrior. And I resisted watching this. I had just kind of been hearing things about it for a while. And then someone on one of my family members mentioned that someone in this show, someone gets their arm ripped off and then just loves going back to the zoo and continues to work there. And so that immediately piqued my interest for some crazy reason, and it made me just absolutely have to watch this show, Tiger King. And so I did, watched all the episodes, and then started watching all of his videos. And I discovered an absolutely incredible resource for anyone that cares about animal rights and about just animals in general. This guy absolutely was a master of the animal realm, and he knew so much. And it really is unbelievable the lengths that the other side went to pretty much take this guy down with very little to no regard for the welfare of the animals involved in this entire situation. And these videos that I'm going to show you are shot from Southwick Zoo and Live and Let Live Sanctuary in New Hampshire, and they are both like charities and 501c3s and zoos that are not federally funded and that are having similar struggles and always have had similar struggles to Joe Exotic, with animal rights people that destroy their businesses, whether by making movies or propaganda in a bunch of different avenues online and everywhere. They just kind of destroy the reputations of a lot of zoos, and they destroy kind of the beauty that people should gain from going to zoos and seeing animals that they could never get a chance to see in the wild because of a lot of circumstances, and just even because they can't afford to travel to Africa or to any of these really places, the Congo, the Amazon, India. You can see things from all over the world at zoos and at exotic parks like Joe's, and these people are struggling, and that struggle is real. And to see them in TV and whatnot get taken down by people, corporations with lobbyists, big money that goes towards affecting government decisions that are designed to target things like this. They abuse the risk of that animals and that people housing these animals propose. Like they kind of dwell on fear again to take out the rights of a lot of people who are just really trying to house beautiful animals and care for them in a way that allows for the species to thrive, allows for education and people of all ages to really enjoy the presence and observe the magic that is with all these animals that you could never really get to see. And you can tell in the Joe Exotic, in the Tiger King show, that he loves his animals and his animals love him. And that's why if you put that girl, that lady Carol Baskin, who just destroyed him and his family and took it to such disgusting lengths, to basically take down his parents too, and destroy the family, destroy jobs for all these people, destroy all these animals' beautiful lives. And this guy really, this lady does these things ruthlessly. And if she were to go in a cage with any of these animals, any of her animals, she'd be dead immediately. But yet Joe can do these really long videos in tiger cages with 4 tigers, things going behind him, things going in front of him, and he never has any threat. It's a true sign with the animals of how good-hearted and good-natured the guy really was. There's no other better way to tell someone by the respect they get from giant tigers. He did all these videos. He even ran for political office, and I recommend watching his videos. I got absolutely hooked. He talks about some absolutely incredible things, some amazing ideas that are brilliant. And he likes Donald Trump a little bit, but he starts off not really liking him and kind of just seeing him for what he is, or what people thought he was or is or still might be, as one of the rich, one of the elite. But he's definitely proved to us to be something else, and I'm sure Joe reflects on that. I think there's even a petition to pardon Joe. If you go to freethetigerking.com, you can join that petition. And hopefully, hopefully Trump hears it, because that story is insane. The people that, like, I usually don't get caught up in these kind of things, but this guy goes beyond a pop culture icon because of the way that he is for animals and the warrior stuff and knowledge and wisdom that he's gained from his experience. And he saves other animals. He does everything he can to protect his animals and give them like exactly what they need, and to find the right people that will take care of them. Even when places like PETA send spies in to try and capture recordings, like they sent a spy in to basically work for Joe for a while, gain the trust of people, so that he could inevitably neglect one of the animals and then videotape it and then blame Joe. Like the more you go into these videos of his, the deeper you see this hatred that the animal rights group have for someone that's so absolutely incredible to his animals. And they had to really try and exaggerate all these stories in order to give him some animal, like bump up some animal charges, because the charges of him threatening that woman with hiring a hitman were just so flimsy and based on such shady things. And it's what we see everywhere with they've been trying to take down Trump with all these terrible things that they just ramrod through, and they control the information that goes out on all these topics, so to try and spread to their masses of people who are just computer like dorks, just going on and on in the computer, spreading hatred and doing whatever they can to bash this guy's business, which would inevitably, they know, affect the animals. Even if the animals were to go from Joe's place to Carol's place, Big Cat Rescue, they would be in a terrible situation compared to the great situation they are here. And this is Mowgli at Southwick Zoo, and he has a great life. And none of the caretakers there would go in the cage with them. They have specific methods, because these animals are so dangerous. Yet this guy can exist with them, like hug with them until they're like, for their entire lives, and be fearless and know that and be totally comfortable with them. It's just an unbelievable sign from nature that this guy is a good-hearted guy. And he gets vulgar in his videos. He expresses his opinion without any regret, without any shame, without any fear, and it landed him inevitably in prison. They did whatever they could to take this guy down, and he's more than just someone who threatened this woman, and I don't think he did. He probably just said it. I'm willing to believe he never put in any effort, because he expresses in several videos how he knows that he would never inhibit any physical harm on Carol, because that could get him in trouble. Like Trump, who never drank, like these people that are wise and smart and incredible in their industry, they know what not to do, so that when things go right, they will go right and they will stay right. And they should have stayed right for this guy, and I hope he gets redemption, because the animals are the ones that suffer the most, and the animal rights people are the ones that bring this pain upon them. They have the full brunt of the responsibility. And Joe talks about karma a lot in his videos. He trusts in karma. I trust in karma as well. And it seems like the people that deserve the terrible karma from that Tiger King show are getting it. Like the people that ended up taking him down are so unbelievably shady that Jeff, whatever, I don't even care to utter his name. All these people, you can just sense the shadiness in them. And Joe's just totally pure-hearted. He tries so hard. There's one video where he saves a cow. He goes to a neighboring place in Oklahoma, and he rescues someone's cow that's in the water. He goes full-blown into it. Any risk, it's a true animal warrior. And when you meet these animal warriors, you find out really good information, because they care the most, and they dedicate their lives to the animals, and they dedicate their search for knowledge for discovering more and more about the animals. So for instance, while I was at Southwick Zoo, I was talking to Betsy, one of the presidents there, and she just an amazing lady, unbelievable what their family has done at this place, Southwick Zoo in Mendon, I believe, Massachusetts. I recommend everyone go to it. But she told me about how the elephants, how they don't have any elephants, because elephants in captivity, the animal rights groups absolutely destroyed anybody that had an elephant in captivity. And then she was explaining that elephants are so smart and so socially beneficial and intelligent that they form unbelievable bonds with their owners, and they live to be 40-something years. So some of these owners that had elephants were private owners, whatever, but they had elephants for 20, 30 years, who bonded with them completely. And then they said when the animal rights groups crack down on these people, they spread ridiculous stories that are not true most of the time, or are true for one person but not true for the majority of owners of animals. And then they bash it, they spread it out through all their things. They get all their cooperation from Google and everyone, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, all their celebrities pump it out, and then it changes the public opinion. And then the elephant ends up leaving a home where he made family bonds, true family bonds with human owners, or human friends and family. And then he leaves to go to a ridiculously crowded place, or a ridiculously small, confined place where the treatment is unbelievably less and there's zero human interaction, because the humans that are now controlling him are afraid of it. So they probably end up abusing it, and these animals just go through so much mental anguish that it's absolutely insane. And this is caused by animal rights groups. And one of the reasons why this hits me so hard is because me and my wife formed Save Earth, which is a 501c3 nonprofit public charity. And Joe actually bashes public charities, and rightfully so, because a lot of them just do corrupt things, and they spend all their money that they earn on lobbying or on paying different people to do things, and the money never goes to the animals. Well, part of our charity is to use art, basically raise money with art, spread creativity through all ages, the power of creativity, and the ability to use creativity towards making the world a better place, and then having art that goes towards a certain cause end up going to those charities and those people that actually do the thing, and not the PETAs, not the World Wildlife Fund, not any of those, like Humane Society, the main one. And Joe does an expose on them, and the Humane Society that at large, based out of Washington D.C., has nothing to do with your local Humane Society. So while so many people are donating to the big D.C. like machine, not many people are donating to their local humane societies, which is where the actual good things for the animals end up happening with the money being used. So there's all kinds of charities that abuse their 501c3, and he mentions that PETA is designated as a terrorist, a domestic terrorist, yet they're still a 501c3, they don't pay taxes, and their influence is felt all over the place in a variety of different governmental policies, and they all like chum up with politicians. They're basically on the bad side, and it's unfortunate because the people that run places that are beautiful, places like Joe's and the sanctuaries we know, and the zoos that are not federally funded, they work constantly to do everything they can for the animals, to raise as much money as possible for the animals, because they're not receiving government funding, and they want the freedom to be able to kind of treat their animals better than as they would have to be under government restrictions. And so these people are so dedicated to this cause that they don't have the time to battle these animal rights people. Like, not at all. Like, when you have all these animals in your custody and you have to take care of them and make sure everything goes right, you don't have time. I'm surprised they have time to even go online and post anything on their phone. The amount of time and effort they put into it is outstanding. They are true heroes. And this guy Joe was one of the only ones that felt like he had the time and he had the gumption to fight back. And it's a good thing he did. And thankfully, karma is unveiling itself, and his story is getting out to a lot more people. And hopefully a lot of change will come out of this, because it snapped a lot of people out of it. So many people are pet owners. So many people love animals. You get a release from animals. It's like being in nature. You get a feeling of bliss from even just observing an animal, and your imagination is stimulated. Your just heart just beats. When you get to know an animal, that's a whole nother bond of love that gets formed. And these exotic animal owners, they really feel that way. They're not doing it for social media credit. They're not doing it for likes. They're not doing it for publicity. They're doing it to educate the people and show the world and do some amazing things. And Joe actually dedicated his as a memorial to his brother. And his name lives on. I'm sure that guy is smiling from wherever he is, and proud of what his brother's done for him, because he's done some amazing things. And he's like a new modern crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, who was a true animal hero as well, and went down in some, I believe, to be an interesting circumstance that I don't fully trust, but that's for another story. But either way, Joe is like a modern kind of Trumpian, just patriotic, animal-loving guy that's willing to fight the battles that so many people aren't willing to fight, that need to be fought for the animals. Like, even the people he surrounds himself with, the people that work at a zoo, they're all great animal lovers. Those are like some serious, hardcore, amazing animal people. But they don't have none of them have the will to fight like Joe did. Like, he is an absolute one-of-a-kind animal rights master. And I hope and I believe he will get vindication for all of his efforts. And it's really, his story is very interesting as well, because I feel like a lot of us can kind of connect with the parallels in our own lives. Like, I've been trying for a very long time to succeed in whether it's music. At first I was writing, I guess, then it was music. And then, before I went to college, just out of high school, we were about to get signed to a record label, our band, and we were pretty much forced to go to college. And we gave up that opportunity to do touring and have a record label behind us, and that was my first take on just kind of getting momentum and getting slammed. And then ever since, every couple of years I'll gain momentum and then get slammed down. It happened with like Facebook. I rose meteorically, was selling art all over the world, and I got crushed. My reach got just decimated. And then there's been so many different cases where this has happened. Even when Trump came around, I had a lot of we were selling art to a lot of vegan and a lot of different people that I guess were more liberal. I was never in that sense, but in some senses, but not anything connected to that. I'm a true artist, that's it. No sides. But just having Trump be in the race in that election like crushed our art sales, just because we didn't hate the guy. We had people that asked if we liked Trump, and I would say I don't hate him, and they would just walk away after being blown away by our art. Like, it was really just another rise and then a fall, and that's just what that's what this guy dealt with so many times, like different things burning down and different instances happening, people losses in his life. Like, we all really go through this battle, and no matter and you never can give up, because this guy he's been in prison for a little bit. He was probably thinking about giving up, and then all of a sudden this documentary gets released, and his name and his mission is enlightening the world, like in record probably massive just numbers, just spreading his goodwill and reiterating and rejuvenating the karma that just was pent up regarding his entire situation. And that's what karma does. Everything from these little animals, though, exotic people, like some people are restricted to even have little tiny house pets like this because they're on a particular list. They're on an endangered list or something. But how do you expect to get them off an endangered list if if they're not like encouraged to kind of be had? I understand the need for regulations to protect the public and to protect the owners, but they should be run and delegated by people like Joe, people that know, instead of the people behind the desks that don't know. They've never experienced this animal stuff that they're writing and making rules about and regulations about and getting paid out about and kickbacks about, and they're just doing it for that. And it happens everywhere. Like, we had an incident around here I'll get into at one point about a hunt that was on land that had never been hunted for like over 120 years, and in order to do an assessment of that land, they hired a company from the West Coast to do an estimate of how many deer per square mile were in this area that they were unfamiliar with. And so they took like a couple ATVs down some paths for like 3 or 4 hours, and they deduced that this area of how many miles, probably 5, 10, 20 miles, had like 130 deer per square mile. Yet anybody that goes in those woods, and I did and hiked in those woods all the time, the Blue Hills, there was never even close to that many deer. If you saw a deer, it was a rare, beautiful sight, and it was a treasure. And these people came in from the West Coast and were claiming that this area, this land, had all these deer, and it didn't. And then so it justified them initiating a hunt. And that hunt inevitably led to hunters ended up being upset because they killed so few deer, and it was just totally wrong, totally exaggerated. And the fear they used to the public was, oh, they spread ticks, oh, there's so many car accidents with deer, and they had all these crazy people speak out. It was really nuts. And but it was a local example of just these things that happen in every single state, in this force, this weird force that overcomes people and makes them attack and latch onto and, like, lawyer up against all these businesses that are doing good. And these people think they're doing good, and they're convinced they're doing good, but meanwhile they're doing some of the shadiest stuff in the backdrop, and they're just like they're ramming their stuff along, and they say they care for one thing, and they're just being the epitome of hypocrisy. And we see it everywhere. It's just an epidemic, and it's one of those things that needs to get gutted from the planet. And that's what I think Joe represents, as he's kind of the comeback of those people and that force, like like we need to stand up to the negative, the people that just, the trolls that just harsh on people that are just minding their own business and doing their own thing, and people don't like something, so they try to ban it for everybody, or one person does one thing wrong, and so that's a blanket statement for everybody that owns like X, like whatever. And it's totally wrong. And these people are just slow, kind of, they have so much money to lawyer up on all these different topics and all these different useless things, and they target so many people, and animals suffer. It's just really an endless cycle. And so hopefully Joe will be breaking this cycle soon, and maybe get a pardon, and hopefully at least get his case revised so they can see who's the real guilty people involved, and what kind of shadiness went on behind the scenes of trying to frame this guy, because he clearly was framed. And the animals, again, the only ones that suffer the most. And these animals are absolutely awesome, and the people that care for them at these places where people get to see them, schools go to visit them, classes are taught there. They're educational forces that allow people to see a glimpse of this world that is so miraculous, and see like the creatures that Mother Nature placed here for us. And this Southwick Zoo even has this section, which is amazing. You can take a train ride through this wooded area where all these deers and moose and elk all just coexist beautifully, and it's unbelievable. And they come right up to the train, and you can like feed them. It's really remarkable. In places like this, these, if anyone should be getting, like, people that get government funds shouldn't be getting all these other public donations, and they shouldn't be taking up the lion's share of the public donations by guilting people into, like, donating to them. It's places like this that people need to really donate to, because they are just absolutely perfect, and they give you a feeling like no one else can, nothing else can. And this is a First Supper, an artwork by me and my wife, and it's, instead of the Last Supper, it'll take on the First Supper, and with all the animals eating beautiful stuff, fruits, veggies, all kinds of great things. And so the animals, we are their protectors. We are not their superiors. We need to coexist in a beautiful way, and I think Joe is going to set the path right. Karma is going to win. Bless you all.